I love boxes, and last week I was inspired by my friend Trent to put together a toolbox with the essential gear for miniature painting. And well, this is that box. Let's have a look at it, shall we? The toolbox has 3 compartments. In the main compartment, we find a limited palette of colors stored in a paint rack, and some other gear which is just placed freely in this large compartment. CA glue, a cup for painting water, a couple of painting handles, a pair of clippers, napkins, and a small selection of other tools, a poker stick, a knife, and some files. In the top of the lid there is some black cotton fabric, which is the same stuff that I have behind my painting desk. The idea here is that I'll be able to take photos with a completely black background on the go, just as I do here in my studio. Because we have this little cute diorama on top, and I may want to or need to swap that out or do something with that in the future, I only have the handle screwed in without glue, and there are these cutouts in the fabric so that the screws are accessible without having to rip it out. Behind the spring-loaded lid we have the painting palette. This is a regular Army Painter wet palette. It would have been cooler with something unique, but yeah, I use this all the time, it's decent enough. I'm certainly no professional painter, and if you really want to learn how to paint miniatures, you should be watching any of these channels. That said, these are the brushes that I use. We have a couple of really messed up ones that I use for terrain and for dry brushing bases. Then we got a couple of small brushes that I use for base coating, and a couple of really tiny ones that I use for details, eyes, and freehanding. I also have a really tiny fine liner for details and text on freehands and stuff like that. They are all in various states of decay, but such is life. There are also some replacement sheets for the palette, and I'm also planning to do some painted backdrops for miniature photography that I can put inside of the lid to take nicer photos, and if I do that I can just store them here. While it's a very snug fit width and depth wise, there is some spare room on this axis. This lever keeps both this lid in place, but also acts as a lock for the third compartment, which is miniature storage. The original idea was to have this compartment for metal minis and this for plastic and resin, but when am I ever going to be able to paint that many miniatures, you know, in one excursion with this toolbox? Never, I think. So instead I keep miniatures here, and this compartment can be used for whatever. Some spare knife blades, some additional paints, or whatever. These compartments are padded with EVA foam to keep the miniatures relatively safe. For transporting the painted minis back home, I've included a piece of cloth. I can just wrap them up gently and they should be able to survive the trip without any damage. That concludes the tour of my painting field kit. I built this box in an obsessive fervor over 5 days, which is the best way to actually finish any building project. And I recorded a little build log, aka a blog, of the process, which I'll play now. Enjoy. Alright, it's the end of day 1, and this is how far we've come with the box. Pretty good, I think. One day. This is where the wet palette will go. I still need to make a drawer here for the minis. And inside here is where everything else will go. And I also made new wooden handles for the painting handles, which I think turned out really nice. Obviously there's still a lot of cleanup and, you know, making it look nice to do. And we need to make somewhere to put the water bottle. But other than that, not too bad. Let's check in again tomorrow. Hello, it's the end of day 2. Not as much progress today, but it's not looking too bad. We got a drawer, so we got room for a lot of minis here, or something else. Here we have the wet palette, fits perfectly over there. And I got this paint track drying. This is just a piece of pine. If it breaks, I can just replace it. And that's all for day 2. I'm not sure if I'm going to put some kind of lock on the door and over the wet pallet so they don't just fall out when you carry this thing around. We'll see about that. But yeah, that's all for day 2. Quack quack. Hello, it's now the beginning of day 3 and I just got off work and I've just done this little lid. Whoop. And we're going to put some hinges here and make it open like that. And I really want to make the spring loaded and I've been thinking about how to do that and I don't have much room for a mechanism inside. So instead I just think we're gonna put a spring on the outside, which is a bit janky, but yeah, it's gonna be cool. I did make this lid originally yesterday from pine, but well, it cracked and it looked like shit. So, and also as you can see, I've been making holes all over this and changing my mind several times, and that's totally okay. We're gonna paint over it anyway, and even if we didn't, this is just weathering, free weathering. So we'll hopefully finish everything hardware wise tonight, and maybe we can even start painting it. Let's go. All right, I did not get as far as I wanted. I elected to instead drink coffee and play some backgammon with my girlfriend. But I think you'll agree, it's looking much cooler since the last time you saw it. The things I didn't have time to finish were the handle, and also there's going to be a holder for a water bottle on the side. So that's what's left of the hardware. But if you take a look at this, all the metal hardware has been sunk into the wood, which makes such an enormous difference. In my opinion, this makes things look 1,000 times better. Yeah, absolutely a non-negotiable part of the box. As you can see, I've also added these springs and this cool little lever, which was quite easy to mock up just using some thick paper. And now, as you can see, when the lever is locked, you can't pull out the drawer, and if you pull it, yes! I love that so much. Oh, this is so good. Obviously it's not perfect. It could really use some kind of stop so you don't go too far, and also you have to kind of fiddle with it to close it, but you know, it's not hard to do with one hand. And yeah, I just love that so much. Anyway, that's all for day 3. See you tomorrow. It's day 4. I had hoped to get a lot of things done today, but instead it's 8:30 in the evening and I just got out in the shop. I've been rethinking how to finish the box, and I think all that's left to do out here in the shop is to give it a handle and to paint it before we move on to the final details. So I think I can pull it off tonight. There we go, we got a handle. I haven't put any glue here yet because now we have to remove it together with all the other hardware to make it easier to paint it. That's the box disassembled in its smallest components, and we are ready to paint. For the grey, I used Liquitex spray paint from the hardware store, Neutral Grey 3 I think, in case you want to replicate the Nammark palette, patent pending of course. And for the red, I used Carl Larsson red. I'll put the code on the screen if I can find it. This is a shade of red that the famous Swedish painter Carl Larsson used a lot in both his art and in his house. I've happened to have a lot of it since we've been using it in our house too. It's a really lovely color. With everything painted, it's time to put Humpty Dumpty back together again, and I'll just shut up and let myself assemble this thing. Hello, it's day 5, and well, I can't even show you this thing because I don't want to ruin the surprise. But man, this is looking so good. I love it. Yeah, okay. See ya in the showcase. Okay, welcome back. Well, you've already seen the showcase, as I ended up putting that in the beginning of the video. Anyway, here we are at my mom's beautiful cabin in the woods. There's no water or electricity here, so I regarded it a solid test run of the kit. I had a very lovely and relaxing time painting, and I ended the day with this finished Empire Halberdier. I look forward to do more field painting, and I also got more videos coming on miniatures, world building, Heroes of the Ravaged Gardens, and Motley Cruise. Until then, take care. Bye! Just det, det där ögonen.